Imagine a creature so elusive that it was believed to have vanished entirely from the face of the earth since the 1800s. This is the story of the Jamaican giant Galliwasp, a living legend of Jamaica's natural heritage, long thought extinct, yet persistently woven into the fabric of our island's biodiversity. In this documentary titled Return of a Giant, the Jamaican giant Galliwasp, we explore the scientific and cultural journey behind rediscovering and restoring the enigmatic reptile, a symbol of Jamaica's endemic wildlife and resilience. Welcome back to Return of a Giant. For over a century, the Jamaican giant Galliwasp existed only in faded sketches and local folklore. The Jamaican giant Galliwasp exemplifies the richness of our island's biological and cultural tapestry. Described as having a black, shiny, snake-like body with tiny legs, the length from its mouth to its tail is reportedly equivalent to the length of one's arm, from fingertips to shoulder. According to Jamaican folklore, if a Galliwasp bites you, you must get to water before it does, or death is certain. Across Jamaica and the Caribbean, discussions about cultural repatriation, that is, returning artifacts and remains to their countries of origin, have been gaining momentum. Historically rooted in colonial legacies, this movement underscores our collective desire to reconnect with our natural and cultural roots. In 2022, a groundbreaking milestone occurred. A dedicated team of 5 from the University of the West Indies and the Institute of Jamaica, collaborating with international experts, embarked on a pivotal mission to explore the possibility of repatriating a specimen of a legendary creature preserved at the University of Glasgow in Scotland since the mid-1800s, namely a Jamaican giant Galliwasp. This journey marked a significant chapter. The team was driven by scientific inquiry, cultural identity, and conservation aspirations. After intensive negotiations and research, in 2024, a Jamaican giant Galliwasp specimen was successfully returned to Jamaica, symbolizing a tangible link to our natural history. A team from the University of the West Indies and the Institute of Jamaica secured the necessary permits, and the specimen, believed to be a female named Celeste after its genus Celestus, became a beacon of hope for Jamaica's conservation narrative. This event is more than a biological milestone, it is a cultural triumph. The return of a giant, the Jamaican Galliwasp, is a reminder of our country's natural resilience. Once thought extinct, due to the invasive Indian mongoose that decimated populations in the 1800s, this species repatriation underscores the importance of preserving our endemic biodiversity. In May 2025, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the University of the West Indies and the Institute of Jamaica, formalizing a shared commitment to conservation, heritage preservation, and fostering national pride.
This is where we cement our arrangement with the National Natural History Museum of Jamaica as it relates to the care of the first natural history repatriated specimen. Now, interestingly, when one thinks of returning of cultural items, a lizard is not what comes to mind, and I've made deliberate efforts to keep my distance. I've made deliberate efforts to keep my distance. But interestingly, the University of Glasgow MOU builds on existing partnerships with our colleagues at the Institute of Jamaica. And it places this one-of-a-kind specimen in a national fauna collection. And this MOU cements the role of museums in the region, and it supports institutions that build and promote cultural identity in all of its forms. And one of the values that we celebrate here at the university is diversity. And I think that our being here today exemplifies in a real and tangible and novel way what we mean by being inclusive.
The Institute of Jamaica and the University of the West Indies share a long and storied history of collaboration on matters of profound historical and scientific significance. Our researchers and scientists have long worked side by side, united by a common goal to uncover and illuminate the truths of our island's evolution, enriching our collective understanding of Jamaica's past. Having Celeste as a specimen has been fondly named in our national collection represents another meaningful step in fulfilling our duty to safeguard the richness of our past, held in trust for the future. On this momentous occasion, we find ourselves one step closer to equipping current and future generations with the tools to better understand Jamaica's historical fauna, supporting not only scientific research, but also the natural human curiosity that inspires learning and wonder. Celeste is not only a representation of our material history, but also a vital symbol of cultural identity. Myths and traditions abound regarding the Galliwasp. Among them, the belief that if one bites you and reaches water before you do, death is certain. I believe that with all my heart when I was growing up. The presence of this specimen offers a tangible link to our oral traditions and to the stories that make our heritage so rich, complex, and vibrant. It is therefore my duty and my pleasure to express sincere gratitude to the scientists, researchers, diplomats, and all those whose efforts have made the repatriation of Celeste to Jamaica possible.
This achievement inspires us to see Jamaica not just as an island of vibrant culture, but as a sanctuary of unique species whose stories deserve to be reclaimed and celebrated. The Galliwasp's story sparks renewed awareness about endangered species and serves as a catalyst for future conservation initiatives.
The fact that Celeste will be housed in the Natural History Museum of Jamaica demonstrates the continued goodwill and collaboration between the Department of Life Sciences, University of the West Indies, and the Natural History Museum of Jamaica, Institute of Jamaica. As the curators of our biodiversity collection, they are best equipped to care for the specimen, and we recognize that there, the specimen will be more accessible to all, whether researchers or members of the general public. Jamaicans can marvel at the flagship specimen, get curious, learn about them, And hopefully this will translate into better attitudes to lizards in general and likely lead to their increased survival. Right? But for the Jamaican scientists, for our current and our future herpetologists, the specimen does more than confirm our biodiversity and distribution, but it provides an opportunity for local taxonomic, systematic, and genetic studies of the group of Galliwasp, and for deductions to be made on their biology, life history, ecology, and hopefully all of this will lead to their conservation.
The repatriation has sparked new educational initiatives. This tangible connection to our natural history encourages educational programs focused on endangered and extinct species, highlighting the urgency of conservation in our changing world. Following its return, Celeste was displayed at the University of the West Indies UWI Museum for a month, captivating visitors and igniting curiosity about Jamaica's endemic species.
A Galliwasp is a type of lizard, snake-like body, small legs. But because it is a lizard, everybody understands what a lizard is, and Jamaicans, unfortunately, are afraid of lizards. But because you can repatriate a lizard, it sets the tone for the cultural repatriation of any cultural item. So not just flora and fauna, but also cultural items that we have generally.
We have here Celeste, which is a Jamaican giant Galliwasp. Now the first thing here, Celeste is in a container, a glass container, with formaldehyde, which is to preserve her. When you put a specimen in formaldehyde, they lose their natural color. So right now she kind of look creamish, maybe with some it's a brown spot on her, and you see some striations on the tail. You see the tail, you see those striations, and you see striations on the body. And then if you look deeper in, you see scales. So the first thing, Galliwasps have scales. Now, if Celeste was alive and in the wild, she would not look like this. General, in Jamaica, Galliwasps kind of have a grayish or a silverish color. So Celeste has lost her color based on in the preserving chemical which is used. So that's the first thing. So anyway, it should be look shiny. And the next thing is, Galliwasps, compared to other lizards, have small limbs. So when you look up there, you see she have two limbs, front legs and the back legs. Now with all our Galliwasps and some of the species that we see at the house, the limbs are short and they're close to the body, and when they're short, they when they move fast, they look like they slither. So that's why some people believe that they're snake-like. Because of the small limb, they're on the ground and they will be slithering. What we cannot see with Celeste, with most Galliwasps, they have a forked tongue. Celeste's mouth is closed. When you check up the mouth there, and the forked tongue is what they use to put out in the air like a snake, and they use it to find their prey, find food. They can know a lot about the environment. So they have snake. And we go further down, as you can see, when you're looking at Celeste's body. Now, according to the literature, the giant Galliwasp can get up to a foot length, Celeste, and when we talk about foot length, there's something that we use in science, snout to vent. And snout means the snout of the Galliwasp, and the vent is right at the leg where the anus is, and that's snout to vent. So the literature have it that they measure about a foot length. But the thing that you must always remember with the lizard, they continue to grow. So it depends on when they caught Celeste. Celeste, yeah, she might be up to about 30 centimeters in length. And the next thing that you can see, she's very fat. So it's a very plump Galliwasp compared to the others that we have. And last thing that you look at the tail. Now, in the literature for Celestus ossidius, which is the aquatic one, the tail is a little bit flattened. We're not seeing it too much here, but the tail here is normally flattened for ossidius. And if you looked up on the head, I was talking to Elizabeth from IOJ, and she said in the time where they caught Celeste, they might have used, like a stick. And if you check the head there, you see a slight damage. That's how they catch it. So let's go all of it. So you see the overall body. They have, as you can see, they have legs. They have striation on the body. They have scale. And one of the things that we do in identifying species, they have that term that they call the scalation, where we count and look at the scale, and that will help identify. So this is Celeste, our lovely Jamaican Galliwasp, and we are happy to look at her. And as scientists, we can go now and get idea and try to find out if I am looking for Celeste in the wild, especially if she's this big, where would you find her? Is it in a hole? Is it under a rock? Is it in the water? We don't know. But this is a start, and I hope that in the near future that we'll have somebody now again call and send in a picture and tell us that we have our giant Galliwasp and that we can come and it's not extinct, and we can put in the work like what we put in for Jamaica iguana.
The return of the Jamaican giant Galliwasp is a milestone that paves the way for the repatriation of other species and artifacts, reinforcing Jamaica's role in global biodiversity conservation.
I know definitely for the National Fauna Collection, which is housed at the Natural History Museum of Jamaica, they would like to get our extinct monkey. So Jamaica had monkeys, just like monkeys in Barbados, for example, and in Trinidad. So Jamaica had monkeys. All our monkeys are extinct, partly due to the expansion of the slave economy. And we also had a rice rat, for which we have no specimens in the national collection. So one of the important things about Celeste is that Celeste is the only specimen of a giant Galliwasp in Jamaica and in the region, right? All the other specimens are outside of the Caribbean. And it means that specialists have not been able to actually see one, right? And when you don't see one, you really don't, you just know that it exists and you use the archive because they've been presumed extinct since the 1850s. So you use documents to guide you. But the presence of Celeste means that the herpetologists, the scientists, the students who are learning to become scientists can actually interact with a specimen and develop knowledge that they wouldn't have before. And so it's the same thing for the request for the rice rat or the monkey. These are things that are missing from Jamaica's ecological history and our museum collections. And the return of these objects, in essence, transform education and actually expands our understanding of the ecology of Jamaica.
In his research paper, Ecology and the Conservation of Galliwasps in Jamaica, terrestrial biologist Damian White indicates that the genus Celestus contains 11 species of lizards, 10 of which are endemic to Jamaica. The research illustrates Jamaica's vital role in understanding and protecting reptilian evolution.
Overall, there are 11 species of Galliwasp that have been reported in the world, 10 occurring in Jamaica and 1 occurring in Haiti. But in 2022, something happened. The Asian Galliwasp, now some people call it Hispaniola Galliwasp, was changed from the genus Celestus, which is the genus that all Galliwasps is in. And because that was changed, we now have 10 representatives that are found nowhere else in the world except Jamaica. It's a big thing when all the representatives from a genus is found in one place. That tells how special we are. Now, Celestus oscidius, giant Galliwasp, is the premier Galliwasp in Jamaica, meaning it's big. It's about 1 foot in length. Basically, my arm. Some people don't know what a foot is, 12 inches, are relatively about 30 centimeters long. That's it. And it's a stumpy Galliwasp. Now, what is so excited about it is the biggest one that we have, and it normally have an aquatic lifestyle, meaning that the early literature have it that it lives near water holes, or river, or in swamp, and when you go near it, it go in the water. Some people also have it as a sinking Galliwasp that it would found in these burrows and then in the burrow. And overall, people said this Galliwasp, which is the Jamaican giant Galliwasp, is the reason why we get the name Galliwasp. Now they said In England, they had Galliwasps. A asp is a snake. And our Galliwasp is aquatic. So earlier people believed it was like a snake. So with our power, Galliwasp became Galliwasp. So that's one of the meaning. And then we can also think about what Jamaicans say, that if a Galliwasp sting you or bite you and reach water before you, that you will die. And this was based on where they saw this big lizard. However, it's a lizard, you have the stinger, and you'll be okay.
The return of the Jamaican giant Galliwasp reminds us that Jamaica's natural history is an ongoing story, one of resilience, scientific discovery, and cultural pride. From Scotland back to Jamaica, the journey of Celeste symbolizes hope, rewilding, and our collective responsibility to safeguard our island's extraordinary biodiversity.
In the past, scientists like me who would be looking for this Galliwasp, and I mentioned that some of us still believe it could be here. So we normally would have to go online and look from a picture. Now people say a picture is more than 1,000 words. Imagine what a specimen is. I would say more than 1,000,000 words. So if I was studying the Galliwasp, I want to know how other features, because a picture doesn't give you all, like a specimen. I would have to get a visa and fly go Europe, or I might get a visa and fly go America, because that's where the specimen are. Now with the specimen being repatriated, as a scientist, I can come now and look at it. And when we look at it, we look at the tail, we look at the scalation, we look at the toe pads, we look at other stuff that other people might not look at and what does not capture in a picture. So seeing it, it also pushes the belief that we can go out and find it back. Now what I mean by that? When you look at the IUCN red list that deal with all of the species where if we don't do anything, then get extinct. This is on it. It is said to be critical endangered. Some people have it that it is extinct because this specimen was not seen after 1840. That's in the 1800s. So a number of people believe that it's extinct. Our Jamaican iguana in the 1940s, people said that it was extinct. And it was a wild pig hunter in Elsha Hills, deep in Elsha Hills, carried a specimen in the 1990s. And we get to see something that was thought was extinct. And now, you know, they have a big conservation program in the Elsha Hills and Hope Zoo and other international zoo around it. And I believe with you seeing the size of this specimen, because no matter how you see it in the big, you never know it that big. And by putting it out and having all of this discussion, maybe somebody in some deep corner of Jamaica find it and we find it back. And last, that Haitian Galliwasp that we're talking about, it's pretty big, not big as ours, you know, might be up to maybe 10 inches and it's fat. That was found the other day. So there's a possibility that this Galliwasp is still here. And lastly, Jamaicans call all Galliwasps Galliwasp. So most people not even know so we have 10 species. And 10 species that are described. So all of this now show you so we have Galliwasp live in a bromeliad, we have Galliwasp find in the soil, so when the young man dig up and see. We have Galliwasp that live on a leaf litter, we have Galliwasp live on a termite mound, and we have a Galliwasp that they go in a water. So in one place you have Galliwasp in different environments. And I hope one day, you know, when we're talking, I hear someone say, oh, this was Celestus crusculus, or this is you or die, or Celestus oscillocene, knowing that we have more than one species.
Together, through continued research, conservation, and education, we can ensure that future generations will inherit a Jamaica rich with its endemic species, stories, and natural wonders. You've been watching Return of a Giant, the story of the Jamaican giant Galliwasp. I'm Carol Francis, inviting you to cherish and protect the incredible diversity that makes Jamaica truly unique.